celebrating 48 years on the air. Award-winning Farmweek is a production of Mississippi State University Extension.
Today on Farm Week, this time of year, we ask the age-old question, is it sweet potatoes or yams? Plus, have your Christmas tree up yet? We head up north and go tree cutting with eager families. In Southern Gardening, Eddie Smith inspires a little holiday spirit with Yuletide. And in our main feature, we go back in time, Women in Poultry 2001. Farm Week starts right now.
Hello everyone, I'm Zach Ashmore.
And I'm Mike Russell. Thanks for joining us again here on Farm Week, made possible by Mississippi State University Extension. Merry Christmas. A lighter show in store for you this week in the midst of this holiday season with all of the eating and snacking many of us do. We thought we'd begin the show by asking, as we said, that age-old question, sweet potatoes and yams, aren't they the same thing? The definitive answer comes from an expert, Dr. Lauren Harvey, sweet potato specialist at MSU Extension.
This is a very interesting topic that's near and dear to my heart. They are sweet potatoes. So sweet potatoes and yams are two entirely different species, two entirely different plants. So yams are more closely related to in the nightshade family. Sweet potatoes are more closely related to morning glory. Yams will grow they'll grow very long underground. They have a very long growing season. The outside of them is a lot more scaly, and they're not nearly as sweet. They're much more starchy of a crop, whereas sweet potatoes have that more of a smooth skin. At least here in the U.S., a more condensed growing season. They're very different crops. If you go to the grocery store, you see yams or sweet potatoes, but they're all sweet potatoes. That's the gist of it is, if you're in a U.S. grocery store outside of some sort of specialty market, you are seeing sweet potatoes. It was a marketing strategy way back in the day, way back when there was white sweet potatoes and orange sweet potatoes. But there was, I guess, confusion, and so to differentiate themselves, they started calling the orange sweet potatoes yams. The USDA allows them to call them yams, even though they aren't yams, but you're required to say that it is a sweet potato somewhere on the can or the product.
And there you have it. We'll hear more from Dr. Harvey later in the show during Zach's market section. However, you can read up on this subject. Just visit the MSU Extension website and search sweet potato versus yam.
Over the years, I've produced a couple of features about Christmas tree farms here in Mississippi. This week, though, Anna Kuhn is up in Cape Elizabeth, Maine, where folks started grabbing trees right and left during Thanksgiving weekend. Here's Anna.
We come here every year about this time, and it's like a tradition.
Christmas tree shopping is the perfect excuse to load up the car and spend the day perusing through pine needles and sipping hot chocolate.
The grandchildren came to visit from all the way from Texas, and they want to experience a little bit of Christmas in Maine, and so we brought them out here to the Christmas tree farm.
And the Friday after Thanksgiving, hundreds of families take to the tradition. At Old Farm Christmas Place in Cape Elizabeth, it was too many to fit in the parking lot.
A lot more people are here. It's definitely a lot more crowded for sure.
The state says Maine-grown wreaths and Christmas trees contribute $18 million to the state's economy each year and create hundreds of jobs. And Maine families are happy to contribute to the industry, taking home a little holiday joy.
I like it. It's a little rustic, but that's okay. It'll look good when we get it decorated.
But getting that tree home takes a labor of love.
It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. It's harder getting up off of my knees.
Tree cutting veterans say the amount of work it takes to cut all depends on the tree itself, and some had a harder time than others.
It's easy if you have a good one. If you don't, then it kind of gets hard.
How's it going? Are we anywhere close?
No, it's probably like 2 more hours.
2 more hours.
but the effort is all worth it with the reward of hot cocoa and roasted marshmallows.
Is that good?
At the end of the day, families had their trees wrapped up and packed into the car with care, all set to bring home the Christmas spirit.
Employees at a Virginia farm were celebrating more than Thanksgiving last week. On top of cutting the turkey, they were also cutting a birthday cake for their 4 piggies. The little ones marked their 1-year birthday. Sarah Shackles has the celebration.
The staff here at Meadow Farm at Crump Park couldn't resist hamming it up this Thanksgiving, celebrating the first birthday of their 4 little piggies.
Well, not so little. You're looking at more than 800 pounds of pork, squealing in excitement upon seeing their birthday cakes. Those cakes specially made by Meadow Farm animal care specialist Katie Kemp.
It's made out of bananas, peanut butter, coconut oil, oats, and scrambled eggs. Blended most of them together except for the scrambled eggs. The eggs are just the topping. And then froze it all so that it stays together, and then thawed a little bit on the way here.
And when the cake hits, the crew, brothers Archie, Iggy, Ducky, and Otis, celebrating their first birthday.
They all have their own little personalities.
Emily Orndorff has cared for them from day one.
Our dark black pig out in the pasture there, he's going to be the top of the 4 brothers.
That's Archie, known as Top Hog. Iggy is the tough guy, Ducky the clown, and Otis, born the runt, is the comeback kid.
He gets along so well with his brothers, despite being raised separately from them for about 2 months.
Otis needed a lot of care in the beginning, getting the VI pig treatment from zoologist Jim Winepress.
We celebrated Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's with this piglet in a playpen in our living room, and every day I'd go to work, he'd get in his travel container and we'd go to work together. So yeah, he was my best buddy for a while.
The piglets were part of a surprise litter born to Mama Gertie during Thanksgiving week last year.
Gertie wasn't producing milk, and we realized pretty quickly that we had to intervene if these piglets were going to make it.
Meadow Farm staff suddenly tasked with caring for the tiny babes around the clock, so small that they were weighed on a food scale. Half of the piglets were rehomed, leaving these 4 bros to reign over Meadow Farm like pigs in mud. I never saw such a thing.
And don't get any ideas, because these pigs aren't heading for any plates. They'll be living out a nice long life here at Meadow Farm.
Needless to say, color plays a big part of any holiday spirit, and when it comes to Christmas, the camellia is all aglow. Here's Extension's Dr. Eddie Smith with this week's Southern Gardening segment and a Yuletide example.
Our southern fall and winter landscapes are beautifully enhanced by the stunning blooms of Sasanqua camellias, gracing us with their flowers from October through December. Let's explore a few standout varieties. Yuletide is a beloved choice for bringing vibrant holiday color to gardens with its bright red flowers and cheerful golden yellow centers. Known for its festive charm, Yuletide blooms from late fall into early winter, making it perfect for seasonal landscapes. Its medium-sized, single-petaled flowers, about 2 to 3 inches across, shine against dark green, glossy evergreen leaves, adding year-round elegance and interest. Shishigashira is a popular low-growing camellia appreciated for its prolific flowering and versatile form. With its abundance of bright pink, semi-double blooms and golden yellow centers, this variety brings a lively touch of color to the landscape. Each bloom is slightly ruffled, giving it a delicate, soft look that contrasts beautifully with the plant's glossy, dark green foliage. One of my favorites, Chansonette, features semi-double flowers with layers of rose pink ruffled petals for a soft, romantic appeal. These blossoms have a peony-like delicacy, that stands out beautifully against the deep green, glossy evergreen leaves. For fall and winter flowers, consider adding some Sasanqua-type camellias to your landscape. I'm Eddie Smith, and I look forward to seeing you next time on Southern Gardening.
We'll take a break right here, but don't go away. Coming up in our Farm Week feature, another trip back in time, 2001 to be exact. The poultry industry is Mississippi's top commodity, topping out at more than $3.5 billion a year. And it's not just an industry for men. Women have helped grow the industry over the years to be the state's leader. We'll meet, so to speak, 3 of those women, all of whom had a strong beginning at Mississippi State University's Department of Poultry Science. Women in Poultry, that's coming up. Don't go away.
I believe in people and their hopes, their aspirations and their faith. I believe in my own work and in the opportunity I have to make my life useful to humanity. I believe that education is a lifelong process, and the greatest university is the home. That my success as a teacher is proportional to those qualities of mind and spirit that give me welcome entrance to the homes of the families that I serve. Because I believe these things, I am an extension professional.
I believe in people and their hopes, their aspirations and their faith. I believed that education, of which extension work is an essential part, is basic in stimulating individual initiative, self-determination, and leadership. I believe that these are the keys to democracy, and that people, when given facts they understand, will act not only in their self-interest, but also in the interest of society. I believe in intellectual freedom to search for and present the truth without bias and with courteous tolerance towards the views of others. Because I believe these things, I am an extension professional.
Time for the market report. Prices back down, but fairly stable.
Indeed, and it looks like row crops got hit the hardest. And we'll get into it, but first, the numbers. What were the week's biggest gains and losses? And then, this year's last crop progress report and a few others on how cotton, grain, and oilseed production looks right now. And finally, the mighty Mississippi sweet potato. What are the economics behind them? We ask an extension expert. So, markets closed the week trending down, but not by much. A bit of a mixed bag with row crops while livestock rising. Let's take a look. The week's biggest gain, cotton up nearly 1 1/4 cents, and over 1.5% increase from the previous week. The week's biggest loss, wheat down 16 3/4 cents, a near 3% decrease from the previous week. This year's final crop progress report released last week telling us how harvest season has wrapped up so far, and well, looks pretty good. Cotton systems, oilseeds, and grain crushings all showing less than last year, however. Here's the rundown.
In the 15 highest cotton-producing states, Mississippi included, harvest 84% finished. This time last year, it was 81%. In the 8 highest peanut-producing states, harvest 93% complete. This time last year, it was 95% complete. In the 18 highest winter wheat-producing states, planting 97% complete, the same as last year. Winter wheat emergence 89%. Last year, it was 90%. Winter wheat condition reporting 85% fair to excellent. In the cotton system consumption and stock report, extra long staple cotton consumed 87,000 pounds in October this year, down 67% from last year. Total number of spindles on the cotton system, 730,000 in October. Spindles consuming 100% cotton, 278,000. down 42% from last year. In the oilseeds report, soybeans crushed for crude oil about 6.5 million tons October this year, about 7% higher than last year. Crude oil produced a little over 2.5 billion pounds, up 8% from last year. Canola seeds crushed for crude oil a bit over 218,000 tons October this year, nearly 8% higher than last year. Canola crude oil produced 171 million pounds, up 6% from last year. Cottonseed once refined oil production 38.7 million pounds, up 11% from last year. In the grain crushings report, total corn consumed for alcohol and other uses 510 million bushels October this year, down less than 1% from last year. Corn consumed for beverage alcohol about 3.5 million bushels, down 46% from last year. Corn for fuel alcohol 460 million bushels, also down less than 1% from last year.
Sweet potatoes are a pretty big deal here in Mississippi. We love them and love to eat them. But what are the economic factors in play for those who grow them? You might be surprised.
The annual sweet potato crop in Mississippi is a unique aspect of this state. Calhoun and surrounding counties in the north of the state grow the vast majority. The city of Vardaman calls itself the sweet potato capital of the world. So, what makes this particular crop so special here? I spoke with MSU Extension Specialist Dr. Lauren Harvey to get deeper into the details.
So one of the interesting things about sweet potatoes, one of the unique aspects of sweet potatoes is almost all of the operations are vertically integrated. It's different from traditional row crops. You grow the crop, you harvest the crop, you end up selling it, and it gets sent to a grain elevator. Well, all of the storage in this case, and therefore all of the risk, is maintained by the sweet potato grower. So you grow the crop, you seek out customers, then you wash and sell the crop on demand, and then you ship that crop out to those people. But you're maintaining possession and ownership of the crop that entire time. And so a portion of that crop then gets saved from one year to the next to be used as seed for the next year. So they're completely vertically integrated operations, and therefore the risk is maintained by the grower throughout that whole time. So I like to say that growing the potatoes is really only half the battle. You then have to store it, you have to find your customers, you then have to be able to effectively wash and pack it. It's a lot more than just growing the potatoes. So the normal buyers of sweet potatoes would be your large grocery chains, Walmart, H-E-B, Publix, Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, you name it, those kind of larger grocery stores. And then another very large consumer would be, and we call that fresh market. And then another large consumer would be processing. So you have companies that make sweet potato chips, sweet potato French fries, and those would be companies like McCain Foods, Lamb Wesson, J.R. Simplot, those kind of companies. And those two market groups really make up the vast majority of sweet potato sales, fresh market and then processing. And then there's about 80, I want to say, at least for the state of Mississippi, it changes depending on where you are in the country, but Mississippi, about 85% of our crop is consumed as fresh market product, and the vast majority of that is consumed domestically. And then the remaining 15% or so is through processing of some sort.
According to the Mississippi Sweet Potato Council, the best potatoes should be firm, round, with fairly even coloring. Store them in a cool, dry, ventilated space. Don't refrigerate them. Cook them with the skin on to preserve nutrition, and use a stainless steel knife to cut them.
And that's it for a deeper look into the markets. Seems prices fairly stable right now, and with harvest to tally, we'll see just how much stock we have. Mike?
Thanks, Zach. Time for that look back we've been promising you. This story produced all the way back in 2001, Women in Poultry, and the impact women from MSU's Poultry Science Department have had on the industry. We begin with the original intro of the story by former Farmweek anchor Artis Ford.
The nation's poultry industry employs many people, especially here in Mississippi. We're fifth in the nation in poultry and egg production. Many of those jobs are filled by men. It's ironic considering women are credited with starting commercial poultry production in the United States. In recent years, however, more women are entering the professional and executive ranks of the poultry industry.
Things are really opening up for females in poultry science. There have been quite a few that have graduated since I was there, and there were several before me, and we're all doing really well. And you have to be willing to get out there and figure out what you want to do and stay there, and you have to pay your dues and tough it out, but it's worth it. And I think it's a good career choice for a woman right now.
Ren Laster McDonald is the Director of Food Safety for the world's largest egg producer, Cal-Maine Foods of Jackson, Mississippi. She is one of a growing number of women working in professional and executive roles in the nation's poultry industry. Dr. Wallace Morgan is the head of the Poultry Science Department at Mississippi State University. He says 21% of his bachelor degree candidates are women. Morgan says the opportunities are there for women and men in the poultry industry and its allied businesses.
In my history here since 1980, and I'm sure it goes back before that, we've never had a student graduate that did not have a job offer. Never. And most of the times there will be numerous offers.
The 100% job placement rate for graduates was a big factor in McDonald choosing a poultry science degree at MSU. The Mississippi native also earned a master's degree in food science. McDonald makes sure Cal-Maine's 23 nationwide locations package eggs that are safe and produced according to federal and state laws, not to mention customer specifications.
Especially here with Cal-Maine, there's a very strong commitment to food safety, and the upper management relays that to our people who are out in the field and things like that. So actually it makes my job a lot easier. Plus, you just have to try to get along with people and just try to make them understand that all the documentation and all the paperwork we do, it protects me, it protects them, it protects our company as a whole. And once you try to get that across to them, it helps them understand a little bit more as to why we have to do what we have to do.
Piece size consistency, making sure that all...
Judy Harrison grew up on a poultry farm before graduating in 1989 with a degree in poultry science from MSU. The Mize, Mississippi native worked with 2 poultry processors before coming to the KFC Corporation in 1992.
I'm a quality assurance scientist, and we work with all the fresh poultry suppliers. We have specs and QA programs for all our products, and we work with the suppliers to make sure that they're providing the restaurants with the products they're supposed to be getting.
Harrison works out of KFC's world headquarters in Louisville, Kentucky. She coordinates quality assurance work. This includes inspecting and working with processing plants to ensure the poultry meets KFC requirements. For example, the chickens are delivered already cut to KFC restaurants. These pieces must meet size specifications. The bone-in pieces must be fresh, not frozen.
So we get chickens in where the cut's just not right, and we don't think the freshness is there, and we don't think the quality is there. We don't have any problem calling them up and letting them know we need some help on this.
My job entails quite a bit of travel, which I enjoy that. But meeting people and seeing places, and it's just interesting to me as to what all the product goes through, because even spending years on a chicken farm, it's amazing what the product goes through at the plant level, and people buying even products from a grocery store have no idea what all that product went through and what the people that were behind that product were involved with and getting it to them in the way that it did.
Karen Cooper of Hattiesburg, Mississippi is getting her degree in poultry science at MSU. She intends to become a veterinarian specializing in poultry.
You can get a job with like Tyson, Sanderson, somebody like that. You'll be the company veterinarian. You'll fly to their different locations and check out the different farms and make sure all the vaccinations. You do a lot of chicken, for vaccinations on chickens. If you have any problems, like all of a sudden you might have a bad disease break out, you got to figure out, fix that. You have to plan ahead for that disease again, in the future.
Wallace Morgan says the work of poultry science graduates is not limited strictly to chickens.
We have some real good scientists in the department if they're interested in the science aspect of it, from physiology, nutrition, food science, wherever it may be. We're intertwined with those graduate programs. We've had companies in Atlanta, Georgia at the annual trade show for the U.S. Poultry and Egg Association. It's a huge trade show. They interview college graduates from all over the United States, and I guess Canada too, for that matter, if they wanted to come there. And we have had companies come and designate a day to talk to our students. Our students are the most highly recruited there. I can say that and feel comfortable.
Rossburg, your EBs?
Yeah.
Ren McDonald wrote the Food Safety and Quality Assurance Program, which covers all Cal-Maine's egg operations. McDonald says her job is just one example of the possible careers in poultry science.
I can think of lots of different things that even just people that I graduated with are doing now. The food safety area is a very good area to be in right now. But then there are also live production people. There are people that work in the processing plants. There are broiler breeder companies that are hiring people that are coming out of poultry science departments across the country, and there's just numerous things that you can do with a degree in poultry science. So it gives you a little bit of room to get out there and find your niche and figure out what you really want to do.
And Leighton, I might add, when I was doing the story, and I didn't ask people this, but it just came up. They talked about, with it being a smaller department here on campus, that more of a family atmosphere, that
yeah, you got the feeling, you know, everyone knows everyone.
Everyone knows everyone, and
everybody.
two, the students get individual attention. It's hard to be anonymous. And I know some students like to be anonymous, but they did mention that the atmosphere, that they felt like somebody cared, and that helped them to learn even more.
Always fun to look back 23 years in the blink of an eye. Well, next time on Farm Week, another trip back in time, perfect for the holidays.
This time we go all the way back to the year 2000. Producer Brian Utley strolls through the old McDaniel's Christmas tree farm, photographs hand-painted ornaments at Noah's Ark, and snags a sweet treat at Nandy's Candy.
Holiday traditions from years gone by. 3 small southern businesses through the lens of a longtime extension producer. That's next time on Farm Week.
Remember, if you missed a story, look for past episodes of Farm Week on our website at farmweek.tv.
And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. See you next week. Thanks for watching. Merry Christmas.